Is Sandman bad for MGTOW? I really want to address that because Stardust came out with a scathing video about Sandman, and I've defended Sandman a couple of times. I'm not a Sandman bot, as one of Stardusk's listeners called me. I'm a Sandman bot because, well, God forbid I should use logic and reason when I analyze Stardusk's comments. And I don't have anything against Stardusk. I don't have anything against Barbarossa, of course, or Sandman. But I just wanted to kind of analyze why Stardusk, one of the, founders, not really the founder of MGTOW, but someone who was there from the beginning, would come out and attack Sandman. And I really wanted to analyze what Stardusk was saying. And if it passed muster, then so be it. But if it didn't, I wanted to identify that it's totally irrelevant, or it's completely fabricated, the criticisms of Sandman. And I found that the criticisms of Sandman were he produces toothpaste that he slaps a MGTOW label on. He thinks that women don't like men because it's cold. That was the second one. And the third one was, Sandman is not a MGTOW because he bitches about women. Those were the three main arguments. He said some other things, but those were the three main arguments. So let's take them one at a time. Sandman produces toothpaste that he slaps a MGTOW label on and markets. Essentially, he's a charlatan, and he markets a totally unrelated product to MGTOW and passes it off as MGTOW. Well, does anybody really take that seriously? I mean, when you look at the body of work of Sandman, and I don't listen to a lot of Sandman videos, I admit that, but the ones that I've heard have been relevant, have been topical, have been on point, and he produces these videos every day. I mean, there's bound to be things that may be misconstrued or taken out of context, but I don't remember Sandman ever promoting toothpaste. So basically, Stardusk is saying that that Sandman is producing a cheap, mass-produced product and slapping a MGTOW label on it. Is there any validity to that? I don't see it. I really don't see it. I don't want to go deep into the reasons why I don't see it, but I just don't see Sandman's work as anything like toothpaste with a MGTOW label. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Go ahead and feel free to comment if you disagree with that. The second thing was that Sandman said that women don't like men or hate men because it's cold. Now, the skeptic in me says, I just don't see Sandman saying that. And if he did, he was probably making a broader point or being tongue-in-cheek or anything other than saying something so trivial and juvenile. I mean, Sandman is not a stupid man. He's an intelligent man, and I'm sure that is a straw man. And correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, maybe he did say that. But even so, does that really warrant the classless, childish attack on him? I mean, you have a grown man making fun of the way a guy talks. And Sandman has a decent speaking voice. There's nothing wrong with how Sandman talks. And to call him Scam Man, I mean, does that really warrant that? Not really. It really doesn't. And the third thing that Stardusk said was that Sandman is not MGTOW because he bitches about women. That to me, I mean, obviously Sandman is MGTOW. I mean, does anyone really buy that? I don't. I mean, Sandman is MGTOW. He's very MGTOW. But what that strikes me as is somebody coming to a conclusion and then trying to find reasons to validate that conclusion. In other words, that's the opposite of what an intellectual does. An intellectual actually analyzes, comes up with claims backed up by reasonable evidence, and then makes a conclusion after that. But when you start at a conclusion like MGTOW, Sandman is not MGTOW, and you work backwards to try to find reasons to make that true, you come up with ridiculous claims. I mean, does anybody even really believe that bitching, quote unquote, about women is somehow a blue pill endeavor? I don't see it as that. I think it's very red pill. Now, Sandman did respond to that, and he said, you know, what I thought was an acceptable definition of bitching about women, which was critiquing female behavior. I think that's a legitimate interpretation of bitching about women. And he made a strong counterpoint. And of course, Stardust got on his microphone and said, I never said that, and you're a liar. Well, what Stardust did there was essentially what in argument is termed fallacy of equivocation. It's being or ambiguity. It's making a statement that is not really well defined or provides sort of an ambiguous definition. And charlatans do this. They want to make a claim, but they're not exact about their claim, so that when people attack or defend themselves against an attack, the attacker can then say, I never said that. I never said that, you're a liar. So I'm really disappointed in Stardusk. He doesn't care. But I'm really disappointed in him because his attacks on Sandman just had no class. And I think he would agree with that because he did come out with another video and, you know, he didn't have any Scam Man, you know, references, Lord of whatever, Lord of Turkmenistan. I forget. I mean, it was funny, but it was still an attack on Sandman that really had no merit. So those were the three attacks that Stardusk had on Sandman. And when I analyzed that, I don't see any validity to it. I have yet to hear anyone make a valid argument that Sandman is doing anything but sharing his experience and his take and his interpretation of MGTOW in a relevant and topical way to the YouTube community. I'm reminded, and most of you guys are not probably fans of golf, probably very few of you, but back in the 90s, in the late 90s, early 2000s, I guess late 90s, Tiger Woods came onto the scene on the PGA Tour, and he was an exciting story. And so when he had won 2 amateur championships, and he was he was getting all the press. And it started rubbing some of the established guys the wrong way because they had paid their dues, they had been there a lot longer than he had, and they really, you could tell they were really kind of snarky with him. You know, they tried to maintain professional decorum, but you could tell they were a little grumpy about all the attention Tiger Woods was getting. Tiger Woods hadn't proved himself yet. He hadn't even won a tournament, and he was garnering all of this attention. The reason I say that is because Sandman is sort of like that in the sense that he hasn't been there from the beginning, but he has come on the scene. And just like Tiger Woods, through hard work, and nobody can argue that anyone worked harder than Tiger Woods. And I think in terms of MGTOW content producers, nobody can touch Sandman. Nobody. And that's part of why I respect the guy. And so you have, this is my personal opinion, you have essentially a You have you have a couple of MGTOW content producers who have been there and really aren't getting the attention that Sandman is getting. And so Sandman is sort of setting the dialogue. He's setting the narrative. And not only that, Sandman owns the search engine, the YouTube search engine. If you type in MGTOW, you will get Sandman videos. And he's done that through hard work. Now, is this bad for MGTOW? I would say not only no, I would say hell no. Because what happened with Tiger Woods kind of correlates to what's happening with MGTOW. Tiger Woods came on the scene, and the established guys were a little grumpy about all the attention. But he raised the purses by not quite double, but nearly double of what they were before. You had $3 million, $4 million tournaments, which were the big ones, and then all of a sudden there were $5 and $6 million tournaments. And it's no surprise that Sandman has 25 now thousand subscribers, and everyone else has, 1, 2, 3,000 subscribers and more. Barbarossa has nearly 20,000. He has like 19,000. And that happened in this last year, and this year was the year of Sandman. This year was the year of Sandman. And I'm not saying that Barbarossa's subscribers are all credited to Sandman, but I would hazard to guess a lot of them are. So Barbarossa made a tactical decision, a tactical mistake. He decided to make a political statement about the situation. It was a political move to say these are the videos that we that we approve of, not approve, but new MGTOW guys should listen to Spetsnaz, RBK, and Stardusk. I'm subscribers of them all, and I like all their content. But I think it's a tactical error, a big tactical error that nobody's talking about. Sandman owns the YouTube space right now. And to not include the guy who has the most subscribers, the hardest working man in MGTOW, the guy who has really taken MGTOW to the next level in terms of its reach, to not include him in that, that's a tactical error. And so it's kind of amateur hour right now in MGTOW. And I just want to say to Stardusk, or not Stardust, to Sandman, thank you for all you've done. You have created a blueprint. You have created a successful template for the rest of us to follow. You have caused everyone else to have to raise their game because of you. And really, isn't that all we want in terms of our life's work, to make that kind of impact, to make those around us better? And so that's what I think of Sandman. And I thank you for that, my man. Bravo.